So, B is criminology, we are Gen Z Patrol!
Globalization. What explains this globalization? It is certainly not attributable to conquest, the source of the most previous historical episodes where a single economic system has held sway over a vast geographical terrain. The source lies instead in the development of technology, the cost of transport, of travel, and above all the cost of communicating information have fallen dramatically in the post-war period, almost entirely because of the progress of technology. Like for example, a 3-minute telephone call from the Philippines to the other countries is way more easy, despite the fact that consumer prices have multiplied by over 8 times in the intervening period. The first computers were lumbering always with piles of punch cards in the early post-war years, and telegrams provided the only rapid means of written communication. There was no fax or internet or email or World Wide Web, no PCs or satellites or cell phones. Today, we witness phenomena that no futurist dreamed of half a century ago, such as Indians with medical degrees residing in Bangalore who earn a living by acting as secretaries to American doctors by transcribing their tapes overnight. Here are the benefits of globalization. Access to new cultures. Globalization makes it easier than ever to access foreign culture, including food, movies, music, and art. Spread of technology and innovation. Also, access to new markets. Last, access to new talent.
What is globalization? Globalization is a word used to describe the growing interdependence of the world's economies, culture, and population growth, about by cross-border trade in the goods of services, flows of investments, people, and information. Countries have built economic partnerships to facilitate these movements, or many countries, but the term gained popularity after the Cold War in the early 1990s as these cooperative arrangements shaped modern and everyday life. And now, let me give you an example of globalization. For instance, trading of commodities such as coffee or avocados. Coffee is said to originally from Ethiopia and consumed in the Arabic region. Nevertheless, due to commercial trades after the 11th century, it is nowadays known as a globally consumed commodity. And here is the positive and negative effects of globalization. Some argue that the globalization is a positive development as it will give rise to new industries and more jobs in developing countries. But others say that globalization is negative in that it will force poorer countries of the world to do whatever the big development countries tell them to do.
Globalization. What is globalization? Up of movement and exchange of human beings, goods and services, capital, technologies of cultural practices all over the planet. One of the effects of globalization is that it promotes an increased interaction between different regions and population to the globe. Globalization is a term that refers to a country's rapid economic development, in which many elements, including as culture, tradition, human mind, product, and technology, are swiftly changing or transforming, allowing each country to quickly define each product and influence other countries.
Metaphor. How do metaphors affect globalization? In this vision, metaphors actively reshape globalization and its many dimensions. Metaphors discursively create and then reproduce new and self-standing realities that, over time, may become taken for granted and thus unquestioned. Telecommunication is one of the examples of metaphors. It flows of information, mainly asymmetrical. Communication, power exchanges, symbolic exchanges. Telecommunication systems like postal, internet, telephone, and radio. Interconnected and redundant hub and spoke networks. Last, global cities as main hub.
And one of the metaphors in globalization is it inquires into power and politics of metaphors in the making of our globalizing era.
Metaphor. What is metaphor and globalization? Metaphor help the human mind to gain a better understanding of the world that surrounds him or her. Their systematic use in everyday language, science, or politics allows to gain access to knowledge, domain, and concept.
Here are some theories of globalization. Number 1. Theory of liberalism. Liberalism sees the process of globalization as market-led extension of modernization. At the most elementary level, it is a result of natural human desire for economic welfare and political liberty. If practified in the form of A. Technological advances, particularly in the areas of transport, communications, and information processing, and B. Suitable legal and institutional arrangements to enable markets and liberal democracy to spread on a trans-world scale.
One of the theory of globalization is the theory of constructivism. It is the globalization has also arisen because of the way that people have mentally constructed the social world with particular symbols, language, image, and interpretations. This theory neglects issues of structural inequalities and power hierarchies in social relations. It has a built-in a political.
Transformationalism, a theory which holds that globalization is a complex process involving a number of different two-way exchanges between global institutions and local culture. It can be received and controlled.
We are Gen Z Patrol.